Tim, let's start with you, man. It's a very rare thing to go into this strategic consulting role, especially with McKinsey, without an MBA. What is it about? Is there anything about being a naval officer that prepares you to do that nuts and bolts, ground floor, basic process optimization and transformation? Was there anything you brought to the table, even that the other MBAs didn't?
Yeah, so I think, I'll start with from myself and then kind of relate that to, I think, just to service academy grads and just vets in general after that. But, I think first and foremost, right, what made me successful as a consultant and still continues to make me successful as a consultant is having both the analytical skills, right? Being able to jump on Excel and figure out how to build a model around this specific problem and situation to be able to put the data behind a solution and answer. And then also being able to put on a pair of boots, strap them on, walk out around, whatever the business is, whether it's, programmers in cubes or, people on a manufacturing floor, and be able to go learn the business fast, right? I mean, you got to be able to get the speed fast about learning the business to make sure that you don't look like an idiot because you present something completely ridiculous on Excel and PowerPoint, right? And so I think I was incredibly successful because I was able to bring both of those to the table, along with some other things I'll touch on. But I think service academy grads, vet, even more broadly, just vets. I think those are two skills that I think are just common. Not so much that we learn them necessarily on the job, but I think they're common to this group. When they from the start, and then two, I think we continue to develop those two things even stronger throughout our time. I think, and then in addition to that, one key thing around not just consulting, but I think business leadership are a couple really leadership principles. I think of them as you got to be right a lot of the time, right? That great intuition.
Oh, shit.
I mean, listen, there's one thing about like finding the right answer, but let's be honest, right? Starting with the hypothesis that's right, 80-90% of the time or more is hugely beneficial, right? And then second, to that, I think being great problem solvers and being able to find solutions to ambiguous problems or things that that don't always have an answer written down in the handbook and aren't cut and dry, and being able to solve through that are incredibly vital tools that vets and service academy grads bring to the table from their experience that is always beneficial in a consulting or any real business leadership standpoint. And then one that I think, and I'll elaborate on this one a little bit more, as a leadership principle, a bias for action, right? I think as service academy grads and officers leading our units, our subs, our whatever it is, you just have to have a bias for action and being able to say, darn it, we're going to go do something. We're going to go get it done. And that drives kind of this 80-20, I don't have all the data I need necessarily, but I'm 80-20% of the way there, and we've got to do something because an answer is better than no answer right now. And I think that is incredibly, incredibly valuable, again, as a consultant or any kind of a business leader, particularly in the topic today around business process optimization, and then finally the automation, because one of the big things I think that many companies struggle with, where we can really bring these leadership attributes to bear, is their inability to make decisions, their inability to reach in and change and fix things. There's so many people in the different layers of these companies that will very quickly point out this isn't working, this is a problem, needs to be fixed. But the amount, of value that everyone on this call can bring to a company is we can see that entrepreneurial spirit, and we can leverage our and say we're going to go fix that, right? I'm going to go fix that. And then there's some things that help us in our ability to fix that. One is that bias fraction I've already talked about. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to fix it. And then secondly, there's the balance of these two things, right? One is a lot of those things are very yes. And so I think we all bring to the table the skill set of the people management, the relationship management, to bring together many different people and make them work towards a solution and balance and find compromises while still driving to the right answer and trying to let as little business politics as possible get involved on it. And then lastly, knowing when, okay, we spent enough time trying to collaborate and now someone finally needs to make a decision. Because you'll find in a lot of these organizations, things like this don't have one head on the horse somewhere with signature authority to call it done, right? So again, I think we bring that value to companies, as well as being able to say, you know what, man, like I'll stick my neck out on the line for this. I'll John Hancock it and say, I'm saying go, we're going to go do this. And I think that's why, you know, as a group, we have a lot of these skills that really bring a lot of value to companies, specifically around fixing business processes, and then, putting them at least in a place where they're strong enough to then go spend the money to automate them.